All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Andres Diaz. Oh, wow. Okay. You can remember my name. Me and Will are back again for another spectacular Marvel Plus talk. Today, we're discussing, of course, this is the 10th anniversary of The Avengers. Of course, the 2012 film, the sixth film of the MCU. Will, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm very excited to talk about The Avengers, the Earth's Mightiest Heroes first installment of their franchise, and it's crazy. 10 years.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
Does not
I
feel
mean,
like 10 years have passed.
I know, which is crazy. So, I guess where should we start? Like, what was the first time you heard about the Avengers and their development?
Like the movie?
Yeah, the movie. Like, when did it caught you before it was released in 2012?
I mean, I knew they were building to it after Iron Man released,
Oh,
and there was the Nick Fury scene.
yeah. Well, for me, it was like Iron Man
Mm-hmm.
2. That was where I became more
Mm-hmm.
self-aware what they were doing because I mean, the Incredible Hulk was the first for me because of I mean, the weird big credit scene they have with
Mm-hmm.
Tony talking to Ross about, forming a team and they will take care of Hulk, which was never fulfilled in this film.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of crazy. And yeah, and then Iron Man 2 is where it became more official. I was like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing. With the Thor post credit scene, and
Mm-hmm.
then 2011 with Thor and Captain America, and then of course 2010 Comic Con when we saw the first like just assemble cast of the Avengers, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was crazy. But yeah, so let's get into like right away. I guess like what's your overall thoughts on the Avengers? Is it your top tier MCU film or is it low? How it stands right
Uh,
now?
Definitely top tier. Yeah, I mean, this is one of my favorite movies, and like watching it, like I recognize that a lot of that is like nostalgia. Like it's
Yeah,
a TV director directed this movie, and it looks like a TV director directed this movie. But um, like the special effects are good, but all of the like lighting and even stuff like set design feel like it's like stuff that Joss Whedon learned from working on like lower budget network TV shows.
yeah, like
Um,
Firefly and
yeah, yeah, but
yeah,
yeah. I mean, this movie's just so much fun. All the characters are great and they work off each other really well. Um, it's really
yeah,
the only time we get the Avenger. Well, that in like the beginning of Age of Ultron, this is the only time that we have the Avengers like kind of enjoying
t-
themselves a little bit.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think the sequel, like one of the, I guess the bright spots of Age of Ultron, for me is that we see like an actual team movie. Like we see,
Hmm.
the OG team working together, and like we see in their conflicts and all that
Hmm.
in that film so well. Like it feels like a comic book page come to life during that film.
Hmm.
It's just like it's always like the X-Men films or like every teen movie or ensemble cast. It's like I like some of the character or relationship thematics in certain areas, and then there's some I don't care for. Like
Hmm.
the Black Widow and Hulk relationship build up and
Yeah.
Age of Ultron. It, it's like one of the most frustrating things about Age of Ultron. It's like there's so many great things, and then there's so many just okay,
Hmm.
But I guess you brought up Joss Whedon. We need to get this out of the way. Let's acknowledge that Joss Whedon is not a good person. Uh, I do not condone his actions and his bizarre. I don't know what you call it, like philosophy of life and portrayal of women. Uh, I feel like it's very disgusting. So I'm very happy he is exposed. Hopefully he doesn't get any work. So um, just judging the film by yourself, and I think Lenin, I will say he did a good job of erasing the comic book movie. This is the first time
Hmm.
when I saw this film, like I was like, yes, we really embraced like the campy, the very
Hmm.
like colorful superhero thing because I mean at this moment it was just like everything had to be so serious and grounded, and it's like it was so annoying, and that's one thing I'll appreciate about what we did for the superhero film, Sandra.
Hmm.
Um, except for the joking about like the powers or like someone's like why we have to make a joke about Captain America and his Bangta suit. Like I like his suit. I mean I don't the cowl is the problem, but like I really enjoy Captain America's suit. But like why we have to make a joke about it? I don't get that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, he definitely um, cemented comic book movies being like quippy
yeah.
and in ways that like many films try to replicate but fail. Uh, so like
Yeah.
it can be good when it lands and there's like a director in charge who knows how to like deliver that kind of dialogue, but
Mhm.
oftentimes I don't know, like superhero movies since then, sometimes their attempts at humor just really fall flat. And I
Yeah.
wish that we could like have movies that like didn't try to exactly match the tone of the Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally understand that. I for me, it's kind of like just knowing the property. Like, I'm fine with it in certain characters. Like,
Hmm.
I'm fine with like the quippiness in Guardians of the Galaxy because it
Yeah,
has, like if it's there. Um, it could have been it's weird when you do it with certain characters that doesn't make sense, like Doctor Strange
yeah.
or or I mean, funny I picked Doctor Strange or Batman. If we want to go outside of the Marvel brand, like it was weird to see Batman making quips and the Whedon cut of Justice League.
Hmm.
Um, so like I think it's fine in certain areas of character or team, but it's inappropriate with certain characters like maybe Daredevil or some of the more grounded heroes I will say.
Hmm.
So and yeah, and then I it's always tough because everyone has their vision of what a superhero film should be. Like sometimes they don't even copy the Avengers. Like they usually we're still doing the Nolan thing, the Nolan Batman trilogy sometimes for superhero films. But I for
Yeah.
me this the trend I wish they stopped doing is just doing like a shared universe franchise. That became more problematic and after the Avengers.
It did start to like balloon out of control. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh boy.
I don't know. I like that Marvel's still doing that, but I do wish that they would like tone down the connections a little bit. You know,
Mm,
like I
yeah.
liked in the earlier movies when there were like hints to like crossovers and stuff, and like like minor characters would cross over. But now, like you go see Doctor Strange, and it's like you better have seen X, Y, or Z other things that weren't Doctor Strange movies, or else you'll have no idea what's going on, and that's
Yeah.
kind of annoying. Like
Yeah.
I loved Moon Knight for it being like completely standalone. You didn't
I
have to have
agree.
any prior context. You could just watch it, and that was Moon Knight, and it exists as its own thing. And you can also put it in like the broader context, but you don't need to. That was
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, that was nice. That's one reason it's one of my favorites because it was so self-contained. Um, I think I think it's good we're in phase 4 now, And I think one of the things I like about the first Avengers, it was so satisfying to
Hmm.
see each universe being put together in one film.
Yes.
It was, and I think one of the things that I think is lacking in Phase 4 is just I know Kevin Feige has mentioned that there's no more Avengers films, and that
Hmm.
the four are just we're leaving that with the OG Avengers, which I respect and I like that. I just wish we have like a team that we're building up to. Like I kind of wish
Yes.
we're like kind of what we did with Phase 1. I wish we're doing that, but just right
Right.
now we're putting too much projects and just
Yeah. No. The first three phases really, like, um, it really helped them to have that like sense that you were building towards something. Like I was so excited when this movie came out because I had watched all the other ones and I'd like
yeah,
I'd watched them like so many times and like pieced together all the details of how they were gonna like connect. Um, and just like wondering about what was gonna happen.
yeah,
But like post Endgame, everything's so like wide open and it could go anywhere. And I don't know like which threads are gonna connect. Um,
yeah,
and I don't know. There's nothing for me to like look forward to because everything's just
yeah.
kind of
It's
going
it's
off in every direction.
yeah. My friend Miss Flamingo mentioned it's very fractured right now.
Hmm.
Like there's
Yeah.
way too many like properties they're adapting, and I just wish we just kind of just have a self-contained like storyline, like a
Yeah.
graphic novel.
Hmm. Yeah. You wish
Like
there was one sacred timeline and not
yeah,
a million other things.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because we're dealing in the multiverse, and I feel like I,
It's
I
the
y-
multiverse is so unwieldy, and they haven't like I don't know. They
I don't
haven't
know.
like nailed the concept of it yet.
Yeah, not
Like
yet.
Spider Verse does it so well, the Spider Verse movie.
Oh
Um,
yes,
but I don't like Doctor Strange did not handle it well. I don't think Spider Man did okay.
yeah,
Um, it was like very limited in scope, which I think helped it a lot. In that it was just like other realities coming to one reality, which helped with Spider Verse too, I guess. But
yeah,
I don't know if you have so many possibilities of things that could happen, then like I don't know, it feels like there's no
yeah.
stakes.
It's not stakes involved, or it will lead to like very cheap or like get out cards for the
Right.
studio and the storytellers. Because I seen this with the Flash, and like it got problematic in I think season 3 and onwards.
Hmm.
Oh my god. Yeah. So yeah, and I guess like picking back on the Avengers,
Hmm.
and I will say I think this is a good way to tie up this is that I mean this was a big deal. Like I mean we only had the X Men films, right? They were like the only X Men, like the only superhero team we got, and that was like you know they were okay,
Fantastic
but
Four.
yeah, I guess so. But I mean this one was just like bringing together of various people that
Hmm.
they were not in the same franchise, like X Men or
Right.
Fantastic Four,
Right. It was individual characters that we had like independently grown to like, and they were all
Yeah,
coming together, and that's why it was exciting.
yeah, and I feel like Marvel did a really good job on that,
Yeah.
and there were I say bumps in the lead up to the Avengers, but it just went well.
Hmm.
Um, I just I think one of the things that I kind of wish studios kind of go back and focus on is like just have a modest success with the film, but the people and the audience love the characters. That was
Hmm.
the key success of building up this shared universe, and that's something a lot of the studios like totally misunderstand what made the MCU and the Avengers successful. Like I know I didn't care for the Incredible Hulk or Thor, but they made me like the character. Like I feel
Mhm.
like that was an important thing. And I think this movie totally pays off everything that I like. Like it was so cool to see the payoff, the was it the characteristic of Tony Stark, and in Iron Man 2 there was the gag where he didn't like people to hand things to him, and like he
Mhm.
like Happy had to hand had to get it, or
Mhm.
the funny scene in here with Pepper, um like saying, "Oh, I'll hand it. I'll take it from Coulson with the file of the
Mhm.
Avengers stuff and the cube," and then she tricked Tony to get it, and it was so hilarious. Like I can't believe they brought back that like small detail that was just like a weird gag they did with Iron Man 2, but they made it so funny in this film, and like that. Those were the moments that I appreciate about the Avengers, was those small details that they carry over from their solo films. So,
Mhm.
do you have other one that you like that they brought over from the solo films to the Avengers? Uh,
Um, I don't know. I think Tony's relationship with Pepper is probably
yes,
my favorite. Like, yeah, I'm glad they like continued the thread from Iron Man 2, where they were like actually a couple.
and still
Yeah.
see a CEO,
Mhm.
because before Iron Man 3, I think this film kind of showed you that okay, she was still running things,
Right.
but it was more like together they were doing it together
Mhm.
before his PST. So, uh, because after that, like I think Pepper just did the whole company by herself after after the events of the Avengers.
Mhm.
So, so, but yeah, and then I guess another cool detail was the cube, the cosmic cube. It was cool
Mhm.
to see, or the tesseract they call it.
Yeah.
Uh, I thought that was really cool to bring that together from the first
Yeah.
Avenger. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
No, it's just that was the other thing is like all of the plot of this movie really felt like the culmination of the plot of all of the other movies that we'd been
yeah,
watching. It wasn't just like this is happening, so we're gonna bring in everybody. It was like they need Captain America because he's worked with the Tesseract before. We need Thor because they're fighting Loki.
yeah,
We need Iron Man because he's like the public hero and also he's like a genius. And we need Banner because he's an expert on gamma radiation.
yeah.
Like they have reasons for bringing everyone together, and it's not like Infinity War where it's like, well, time for an Avengers movie. Like everyone come in.
uh, yeah. I think um I think it's just here, yeah, yeah, it was good for like a good, a very small group we have here, which is
Hmm.
good. When we get into like the bigger events, like it's gonna be tough to get people to be together. But I think the Russo brothers and the writers from the Captain America trilogy did a good job of making sense why these individuals come together in Infinity War and Endgame. And
Yeah.
so, about what I'll say, you bring that up. Another thing that is really great about this and then the whole Avengers films is putting together the like um putting together comic book characters that I don't think I was expected to see. Like the whole Tony and Bruce thing was something I wasn't expecting to like, and I think that was one of the strengths of Whedon, just playing around creatively with the relationship of the team members in
Yeah.
this film.
Yeah, that
So
was another strong point.
yeah,
I mean, it's very Tony centric in that like most of the character interactions are Tony and another one of the Avengers, but
hmm
um,
yeah. Well, it makes sense, like because he's the one that started the universe. Like
Right. Yeah,
I think
he's
in
also the one that's had two films at that point. So like the
yeah,
audience was more familiar with him, and also his films were more successful. So
yeah.
it does make
Well,
sense.
yeah. Well, and it's a good point you brought that up because I think this is what makes the MCU strong and what make them very good was they don't make that as like an obvious thing
Hmm.
like Wolverine and the X-Men.
Right.
Like I'm sorry, but you do have to call first X-Men and X2 a Wolverine centric film. It's
Hmm.
not like it's no way like First
It's
Class or Days.
yeah, it's
No,
Wolverine and the X-Men, not the X-Men.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, we bring up, yeah, the Tony is the focus of the Avengers, but for good reasons. But they don't like they don't
Yeah,
undercut the other characters.
right. It's very much an ensemble movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. Like we don't like Tony was he's not the first person we see. The first
No, we don't
person
see
we
him for a while.
yeah. He's like I think well he's like the second last before we see Thor. Like in terms of the
Hmm.
team members. Um, I will say I want to get into this part. Like the first person we see and the one that I appreciate looking back on is Nick Fury. We first see Nick
Hmm.
Fury. I like how we started with the Shield because the thing I think people were became aware of the shared connective universe was Agent Coulson and the whole Shield
Hmm.
spy agency, and I really appreciate the role that Nick Fury plays in this film. What do you think about this? Because I think Samuel L. Jackson does do a great performance here. Uh, but still, Winter Soldier is his best performance. But I think this is second tier after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, he's so good as Director Fury.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
he has this like
I
very commanding presence that yeah, it just really adds
yeah,
gravitas to Nick Fury.
yeah, and great comedic moments. Like I love
Hmm.
the $10 bet he does to
Oh,
Captain
that's so
America.
good. Yeah,
Yes.
it's so subtle too. Like, I mean, it's like if you
Yeah,
missed that line of dialogue earlier, you missed the joke. But yeah.
yeah. Oh my god, that I did rewatch the Avengers like two times, and
Hmm.
with my mom, and again by myself, and I, that joke's still funny. It's one of the
Hmm.
best. Oh my god, and I guess other joke that did land for me was the Galaga gag where it's like, oh, that man
Galaga, yeah.
played. Yeah, that's still funny.
Hmm.
Especially when we cut to the scene of the guy going back to play it.
Hmm.
That was so funny. I just love but I was trying to wonder what funny line you like it didn't work for you. Like I'm kind of curious because I I don't have one for
Um,
me. I
I'm trying. There's got to be one. Um,
it's just
it's not
um
jumping to mind though. This movie has so many good lines
yeah,
that
yeah
yeah,
it
it's so quotable. I when I was rewatching this movie this week, I realized that I reference it like all the time. I'll just like say like even like obscure quotes. Um, I watched this movie so much after it came out that it's like burned into
oh
my
yeah,
brain.
me
Yeah.
too. I did it as well. I mean it's so like it's like for me it's like the most accessible but the most invented movie I've ever seen. I mean, it was like a big deal, and just like I just
Yeah.
appreciate how just fun it is.
Yeah.
Because it's just I just love it. And it's because like I again we're going back how successful the Marvel Studios had done to build up to the Avengers, because I care about these characters, and that was like the most like satisfying thing is like you grew up with the characters when like I mean I was
Hmm.
very young this time. I was like in middle school when Phase One was happening, and so
Yeah.
yeah, because just like oh my god, there was one like some people I remember one YouTuber mentioned the line that Natasha say like I don't see that as a party line that was not good
I
like
don't see how that's a part. Yeah, that was the one line I was thinking about saying. I don't know.
it
I
didn't
think
bother me.
the line,
Y-
it's her delivery is a little off,
yeah.
but I could see the line working with like the right delivery where it's like very, very deadpan.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I didn't mind, but like I could see why because it felt
mm,
too like it didn't fit right with Black Widow's personality. I feel like I don't know. But yeah.
mm,
I don't know. But it just shows how just how good the Avengers is because Age of Ultron have other lines that are really bad. I can say
oh
that
yeah, yeah,
but we're not talking about the sequel. I don't want to talk about that sequel just yet. But yeah, and then after Nick Fury, I want to get into this other major character that we do have to discuss because I mentioned we grew up with characters. There's one that we didn't grow up because he got recast, and of course, it's the Hulk. I I wasn't. I mean, I I didn't have any opinions of Mark Ruffalo's casting. I was like, okay, it seemed like the Incredible Hulk wasn't popular enough, and so they just recast this new actor. And what was your initial thoughts of Mark Ruffalo's casting, and just the shock? I guess the shock of not having Edward Norton coming back. That.
yeah. I remember being upset because I thought that the like recasting was gonna kind of like break my immersion uh
Mm,
in the
yeah,
movie, but then I like was in the theater and it was fine because Mark Ruffalo did such a good job. But
I know.
I like he does feel like a different version of uh, the Hulk. Like I
Yeah.
don't get much of like a continuity between the Edward Norton Bruce Banner and the Mark Ruffalo Bruce Banner.
Mm, I
So,
agree. To your question about the there you know you it's it's good you brought that question up because what's interesting. I Growing up with the Avengers and just looking back on the information and like the development of the production.
Hmm.
I mentioned the incredible charismatic payoffs. I mentioned the Tony. Like he didn't like the hand things.
Hmm.
I There are things that it does connect to the Incredible Hulk, but in a weird way. But then, also obviously way. Obviously, they mentioned the Holland
Hmm.
attack. That's the ending of the Incredible Hulk. So
Right.
he is that version.
No, I know that he is that version. It's just they feel like two very different characters.
Yeah. Um. Well. Well. I'll get to the I
Hmm.
think the most obvious reason why, but uh, and then I don't know. Did you pick up him with his suicide? The
Yeah.
bullet. Do you know the background of that?
Is there like a story behind them including that line? Or
Oh, so you don't know about
I
that?
don't think I do.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, this was the initial opening for the Incredible Hulk. Um, this was supposed to be the original opening scene of the
Mm-hmm.
Incredible Hulk, where we see Edward Norton's version of the Hulk. Let me say that because,
Mm-hmm.
and he went to I don't know where I'm blanking is maybe Alaska or Antarctica, whatever. And he, has a gun, and he was trying to suicide, but because of the adrenaline was kicking in.
Adrenaline. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. um, it, it got kicked in, and then he became the Hulk, and then, and this was like it was completely dark opening that they didn't
Hmm.
do. Instead, they did the origin opening scene.
Yeah, I can see
Um,
why they didn't go through with that.
and this one is also cool because you see like a little glimpse of the Captain America shield. Um, if you pause when
Yeah.
I think the Hulk does the avalanche thing and all
Yeah.
that. Um, and it was when I discovered that, I was like, wow, they actually put that in this film. And I was like because the reason I want to bring that up is that someone made a very good point about this moment. Is this is the very good handle of making the dark, like having a dark moment with the Hulk, but not making it, like not making the character dark, like.
Right. Yeah, you're referencing a dark moment instead of like explicitly showing it and like forcing the audience to live through that dark moment as well.
Yeah, and that's something that's been a problem with the first two Hulk films, because I mean, I enjoy aspects of the films. I mean, we discussed them in the channel and in the separate podcast, but I feel like it never balanced the humanity, and for me, the comic book craziness that I like about the Hulk. And that was one of the things that I love about the Avengers so much. It was because, I mean, the Hulk is my personal top 10 favorite Marvel character, and I was so happy to see the Hulk being a superhero instead of just playing up the Frankenstein monster, and the
Right.
tragedy, because they didn't earn that in the first two films. And this was such a fresher, um fresher uh, fresher breath of air for me, seeing this character that I love when I was growing up, and just seeing Mark Ruffalo, I just felt like he felt so natural. Like, I mean, his opening scene with Black Widow was just. I was like, okay, and then when he did like "Stop Lying to Me," I was like, oh,
Mm,
okay, that
yeah,
I was like, you're the
that's
Bruce
Bruce
Banner.
Banner. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I still love that scene. It's just
Hmm.
one of the best intros for a new
There's
actor.
yeah,
It's just, what do you
there's
think, man? It's just, oh,
there's this little touch he does during that scene where it's like um I forget the exact line, but it's something along the lines of like um there are things that I can't have, and he just like gently rocks like a crib.
yes,
I love that acting choice. Oh,
yeah,
it's so good.
yeah. Uh, I did notice that this time around, because
Mhm.
of a sequel, made that more specific.
Right,
But
they do reference that in Age of
Age of
Ultron as
Ultron,
well, but
yeah. But I did like that scene. Again, just the small details for Mark Ruffalo doing that.
mhm.
Um, yeah. And I just I and just I think he did have good chemistry with Black Widow, I would say, in this
Yeah,
film.
it didn't have to be romantic in the sequel, but they did have good chemistry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I just felt like it made sense here than Age of Ultron. It felt forced in Age of Ultron, fortunately.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say, let's get into I guess uh, best characters that I think got popular, of course, in the Avengers was Iron Man. I mean, Iron Man was still popular, but I think this was a good rebound for him for Iron Man 2's,
Hmm.
not so good sequel, but Hulk was really great here. I think Black Widow got the good, like, I think push, because
Hmm.
Iron
Absolutely.
Man, I feel like Iron Man 2 just wasn't really good for her, and she was just so sexualized in that film, and I think this
Hmm.
one was a step up, and I really like Scarlett Johansson's performance here. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I just think much better. Like, I like her short hair, and I love her intro as well. I think her being captured, and this is one of my favorite lines. Is like, "Oh, you think I'm pretty?" And that I don't know, like phrase, and I just love the gag where like calls her, and
Hmm.
and it's like she's interrupting the interrogation, and it's like, look, you're interrupting interrogation from this moron that's trying to,
She's telling me
put,
everything. Yeah.
yeah, it's just so funny. I think Whedon did a good job of like spicing up Black Widow in this film, in a good
Hmm.
way, not in a bad way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's good. Um, and I guess the next character I think was definitely Loki, because I think Tom,
Hmm.
like, I mean, he was great in the first Thor, as we discussed, and throughout the Thor podcast. I think he was great in the Avengers. I think I mean, I personally like his short hair, but I get why the long hair is cool, but whatever.
Hmm.
Um, I think Joss Whedon did a good job of expanding Loki as a villain, and it was interesting. I don't know if you were, you check some of the background. Like, it was interesting to hear Whedon, in the commentary podcast, in his commentary in the Avengers, and then just trivia and all that in the web. Like, he was kind of like worried about having this one British guy versus the six Avengers, and
Hmm.
I think he holds his own. Like, one of the key things. This is something I think has always been a problem with the MCU villains, is that they never interact with the heroes. And here with Loki, you have a great character. All right, he's pre-established, just like the Avengers members.
Hmm.
He has a relationship with one of them, of course, with Thor, and we see him interact with each Avenger member. One with Nick Fury, and then again with Black Widow, and then again with Iron Man, and each one are literally the most iconic things. Like, I really love his conversation with Black Widow.
Hmm.
Um, I really love his conversation with Nick Fury in the cage.
Hmm.
Um, that is really cool. Talking about power and eliminating power, and like, and
Yeah.
just like him getting into the heads of the Avengers is just so good.
Hmm.
And then of course with Tony, it's just very iconic. So but what do you think about Loki in this film?
Yeah. Man, Tom Hiddleston really improves whatever movie he's in.
Yes,
Um,
I agree.
yeah. Loki's just such a fun character. Um, and then I also like rewatching this. I really got a kick out of the like fake Shakespearean dialogue that they used to have for Asgardians.
Yes,
Um,
they do.
I really loved that, and I'm sad that they dropped it. I get why they did, because it was like very weird and not
Yeah,
it like I can see mainstream audiences not wanting that, and it doesn't really fit with the more like or doesn't easily fit with the more comedic tone of Ragnarok.
yeah.
But
Um,
it really elevated those characters, I think, especially in like the crossovers where you're like, oh man, these people are they're different. Um,
yeah. I
and
just wish
it's
they were
just
consistent about it.
yeah, that's
Like,
yeah.
I don't think they ever had a take for the Thor franchise until Thor Ragnarok with TD,
Hmm.
and like they didn't know if they wanted to be a medieval or like family drama Shakespeare Sandra, or like a sci-fi fantasy with
Right,
the Thor the Dark World. But like it's
right.
just like it felt like they were just so uncertain what take
Yeah,
they wanted.
I think it should have been the family drama one, but
Yes.
um, yeah,
Um.
no,
Yeah.
they did not seem confident with the Thor movies initially. It's
Yeah.
too bad because I think they could have been the most interesting ones.
Yeah. I really thought at the Avengers we were gonna do like more comic book things, but it just depends on the character who you adapt.
Hmm.
Um, it's just I mean, Thor: The Dark World just had so many problems from the get go. When it started
Hmm.
production, it's just just have problems, unfortunately. Speaking of Thor, what's your opinion on Thor? I know there's a lot of criticism of Thor in these first two phases, and we've been discussing it for the last 2 years, and I think he was good in this film. I mean, this
Hmm.
movie, this is his most active compared to Age of Ultron and his films, really.
Hmm.
But it's not as good as Thor Ragnarok or really Infinity War for me, but it's decent.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he's got great like action sequences in this movie. Good like character interactions.
Uh,
Um,
I would
yeah.
say great lines. Like I like his that big was it the big like antler creatures that he mentioned to Coulson. Uh,
Hmm.
that was funny for me. And I like how you say no, this is another kind of line. Like when Natasha says the many deaths, and like he say he's adopted, and that's still
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. His delivery is great for that.
Oh
Just
my god.
yeah, it's so good.
Um, oh my god.
Um,
Oh my god. It's really great. And then again, a cool thing I like that Wayne did, or the costume designers, was to give him the um sleeves from the comics, just like
mhm.
the
Yeah.
from the Jack Kirby. Like when that happened, I was like, oh my god, this is cool. This is why it's one of my favorite superhero films, is because they did that. It was so cool detail they did that.
Yeah, it looked
And
good.
yeah, and I really appreciate another thing that I like was the fights between the heroes. Like we didn't
Hmm.
see that, and this film really like did such a successful job of doing that.
Yeah,
Um,
and they always had like a real reason to fight. Like it felt
mhm,
natural to the story. It didn't feel like, all right, and now we need like a big fight scene in Act Two, so we're gonna have them get mad at each other.
yeah,
It felt like it really served the story.
yeah. Um, I would say I'll take a criticism at the Iron Man versus Thor thing. I feel like that was a little like I get it, like we needed that because it was like you need that for your first movie because that's something we know from the comics. But like it's kind of crazy they let Loki and like you didn't know like he's gonna escape or not. But of course, apparently Loki had a grand plan of tricking everyone
Yeah,
and the
it should have
Helicarrier.
been obvious that Loki wanted to get caught when they started fighting each other, and he just stood there watching.
Yeah,
But, but yeah.
I oh my god, but
But I like that Loki did want to get caught, and it wasn't just like an oversight from Joss Whedon when he wrote
yes
it. It was like, I guess Loki's gonna stick around because we need him to be captured later. It was like, no, he wants to
wants to do it.
get
Yeah,
captured. Like if you clocked that as weird, you're right. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's one of those weird films that it can get away of it because it's just like I don't know. It's like it has that like Back to the Future, like like I wasn't like I mean I'm not a big fan of Back to the Future franchise, but like I love them, but it's weird to see like the mom start to fall in love with your son in the past,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, no,
like
the movie's got some weird
yeah,
plot
weird things.
points, but
Yeah, but they're
I love
so
those
good.
movies though. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's something about it just works, and I feel like
Hmm.
that's one of the things I love about the Avengers. Yeah, and then what was the funny part? My favorite scene. I don't know. You like I don't know. You found this funny when like it was always weird. Like it was always this rumor or speculation that like I knew this the Spectre was controlling everyone in that room. Like they were like heating up their conflicts in that room.
Hmm.
Especially when did the like was that the 180 angle shot of the sector, and I always found that scene so funny when they were just having an argument. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Yeah, that scene was funny. But okay. Let's get into ones that which character have the least like development? Like who
Oh,
got the worst?
it's Hawkeye.
Okay,
It's
I
easily
have
Hawkeye.
is
Mhm.
yeah. It's Hawkeye. For me, it's Captain America. I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. But let's get into Hawkeye. I mean, I like Jeremy Renner. I think he gets more to do in the later installments, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I for most of this movie, he's mind controlled, so it's not even like we don't get to see this character that we basically just met because he had like the briefest cameo in Thor that you could easily
yeah,
forget if you haven't like seen the movie a bunch of times.
yeah. I always forget about that. I mean, I'm like, oh yes, yes, this is where Hawkeye pops up. Like it's weird. It's weird that he's not popping Iron Man too. I feel like he was much better there to put in there in that film. Um, because like him and Natasha pop up in the Iron Man comic book, so it's weird to put him there. I don't know, but I mean that
Yeah,
film
I
was.
don't know.
I
That
mean
film had a
that's
lot going on. They didn't need another.
yeah, another character. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was a shame. I mean, a guy with a bow and arrow, and I mean, like I always thought he was like the lesser Green Arrow, and
Yeah,
uh,
I
and
mean
and
he
his
does some cool stuff in this movie though,
yeah,
and I also
uh,
like that he runs out of arrows. That was refreshing,
yes, that
and
was
he
my
doesn't just like pull out more. He has to like dig one out of a Chitari's corpse to use
yeah,
that.
yeah, and they give us one of the most iconic shots of him like you see him face like towards like the camera and like
Hmm.
he does the arrow shoot like that's a like a cool
That is a
shot.
very cool shot.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, I appreciate about this film that I wish we got more of a in the MCU films. I brought this up in the Multiverse of Madness. It's like having the viewpoint of the grounded people, like
Hmm.
the
Yes,
the. I
yes.
think we did a good job of that,
Hmm.
and and just seeing the Avengers helping out, like saving these people in the city, was just such a
Right.
great superhero thing, and something we
Yeah,
don't see it enough of.
yeah. And then like coordinating with the police to like
Yes.
evacuate people.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was a nice touch because it really felt like they were actually like being heroes and not just like
Gods or
um
something like.
not just like killing aliens in an abandoned city. Like it felt like there were
Yeah.
like actual stakes whenever like a building exploded. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. And um. Yeah. It's just that's one of the things that I like about Wonder Woman, with the No Man's Land.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it was instrumental, but also superhero at the same time.
Hmm.
And we don't get that enough in superhero films.
Hmm.
So yeah, and I will say, let's get into the action. Did you like the action in this film? Like, I think the action was comfortable. But I think what was the great thing is I think I mean a lot of people accuse the MCU with the pre-visual action before like directors don't plan this out. I think that worked in this film, as a favor compared to other films. I would say.
Yeah, I thought
Um.
the action was fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like trying to think of like
Yeah. I'm trying to think as well. I
just like different fight scenes and if there's anything that felt off.
I mean, I it's really tough because I think they do a good job of spreading out the action well.
Hmm.
Um, like I mean, because like it's sometimes tough to have like you're saving the action towards the end. But I think one of the great things about the Avengers is like you got a lot of things going on. You having the characters meet each other. They're having conflicts, and it's just where other times it's where like they favor too much on no action and there's just dialogue, which is fine. But like I don't know, some reason this film did a good job of balancing out
Hmm.
the action with the dialogue and just um and then of course like it does feel like TV, but I think we and the team of MCU did a good job of not like showing you it. Like, like yes, we're in rooms and like the color palette is just not like very
Yeah.
fancy, but like when we get to the big stuff, it's a big thing.
Hmm.
Like the
Yes.
helicarrier, it was something I wasn't expecting to see in this film. Like, were you surprised and so happy to see the helicarrier coming out? Because I wasn't
Hmm.
expecting that. I was like, oh my god, they're doing it in this film. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and then yeah, I just feel like that they did a good job of balancing all that. Because yeah, I think the action was good, but the Battle of New York thing is a big deal. Like, I love that scene so much. Like, just seeing everyone working together as a team, seeing the action scene. Like, I love the long continuous shot of the team members
Hmm.
helping each other. Like, it's still iconic, and I still love it. Still,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. A
and
lot
and
of the
and
shots in the Battle of New York really hold up.
yeah, and I just feel like it was one of those, like, I think, like, it's almost like it was the most ambitious climax after maybe Spider-Man 3 in terms of just the scale. I mean,
Hmm.
and the second after you saw that a year after Transformers: Dark of the Moon, like they did that, and apparently the team were inspired by Dark of the Moon, the third Transformers film's Battle of Chicago, and they copied that, and it's still funny they did that again in this film, but instead of Chicago, they did it in New York.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, I let's get back to characters that kind of get it disservice from the Avengers. We
Hmm.
talked about Hawkeye, and I want to get into Captain America because I liked the first Avenger when I saw it, and got to this film. I enjoy stuff. Chris Evans does a good job of this film,
Hmm.
but I will say I don't like the Whedon take of Captain America. I think the Russo brothers are definitely the best directors for Captain America. I think they give
Yeah.
him more respect and like more storytelling, like better storyline. I I just don't get it. Like like Captain America is playing up a joke in this film for me. I don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. I get the sense that Whedon doesn't really respect like the concept of Captain America. So he spends a lot of time just like mocking um
Yeah,
Captain America as like an idea. Um
yeah. Ugh.
just like the premise of like a very patriotic superhero. And like I get the instinct to mock that, but Captain America's always been like he's not like blindly patriotic. So it's
No, I mean he's like,
he's yeah, like actively not that. Um
yeah,
so
like
it
he's the
feels
like.
kind of off to it feels like you don't really understand the character if you're just gonna like write him off like that.
Yeah, yeah, like I never like, um, I'm just trying to remember what was um the line where I felt like they were making a joke about it. Well, I mentioned the suit, like that was the where I was like, why are you making a big joke about the suit? It's like that's how his suit is, you know. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, I get like I get everyone's complaining about the cowl, like the
I
helmet. Like I agree.
I do think that like the solid colors look really goofy. Like it's I
Oh,
think it looks fine, but it is my least favorite Captain America suit from the movies.
mm,
But I
I
also think Captain America has the best suits in the movies, so it's like it's the worst of the best.
yes, I agree. Yeah, I call it a frustrating like suit, just like Age of Ultron. Like it's what I want for a comic book superhero suit should be colorful,
Hmm.
but I don't like way the helmet looks, or like the way it didn't seem like Chris Evans built up his body. Like that suit makes him a bit more like a skinny guy than like a muscle.
It fits him strangely. Yeah.
yeah, like where in the other suits, like from Winter Soldier and onwards, like he looks properly built and like he looks like a super soldier. I just
Hmm.
I don't understand where the I mean like unfortunately like I seen the concept art of the Avengers, and some of them look better than what we actually got in the film, and I felt like Captain America's suit looked better in the concept art than the actual film.
Yeah, I do
Just
like the idea that like since this one was designed by Coulson, who was like mainly looking at um pictures of Steve
yes,
Rogers in that like horrible like USO
tour,
tour suit,
yeah,
like the spandex. That it's like based
oh,
on that instead of like
yeah,
a good costume.
yeah.
But
It,
um
it yeah, I agree, and also like I wish we can dive in more of the thematic crux of we need old fashioned ideas to come back in a world of cynical and fear in the modern day,
mhm,
because I like that, and that's what Coulson was trying to do with the suit, and trying to like pop up Captain America to be inspirational and be Captain America what he was in the 40s into
mhm.
this modern day. And I just wish we didn't focus more on that than just making jokes and just mocking Captain America.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Coulson. Let's lean into that
Mhm.
because we love Coulson here, and we discuss Agents of Shield. Um, I mean, I think this was the best Coulson role since the first Iron Man film, I guess.
Mhm.
uh, I love Clark Gregg. He's great in this film. I mean, his death was so sad, and
Mhm.
I love his like one battle cry, his one battle line, like that's that's what
So
it
that's what it
works.
does.
That's what it does. Yes, I love that line. Oh my god, it was so great. And then just Nick Fury like manipulate the teams, like he
Mhm.
didn't.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's just so good. I just love Coulson in this film, and I like what Adrian Shields done. I just wish these movies acknowledge Coulson's alive, but whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah, well, I mean that's a different story. Another time.
yeah.
Um, I mean
Yeah,
we
I hope
discussed.
they've been bringing back like a lot of the TV show actors, including
Yeah,
like Anson Mount. So who knows? Maybe they'll
yes,
bring back some of the Agents of Shield peoples.
yes. I need Gabriel Luna to come back as Ghost Rider. Um,
Yes, I was so upset when his spin-off got canceled.
I know. Oh my god, I just don't understand. Like you can
Well,
easily make.
they didn't. Yeah,
I mean, they didn't.
they
Yeah,
they canceled all of those Hulu shows. But I
yeah.
hope they repurpose it and make a like a. Do I want a Disney Plus show? I feel like they'd water it
I think
down too much.
I don't know. I think it could work. I
Like they could do it. It's just like that's one of those properties where like they can really go all in on the violence and like
yeah. I mean,
debauchery and stuff. And I feel like they wouldn't let Disney Plus do that.
yeah. I guess so. I I just yeah. I wish. I mean, I wish I mean, I couldn't say the same if they. I was hoping he was gonna get that with Netflix, but that didn't happen, and the network pull it off. So I think Disney Plus can pull it off. I mean, Moon Knight was at least a little bit darker than some of the usual MCU affair, but it just
But
depends on how the showrunner handles the violence and the
they didn't
darkness and
show any of the violence in Moon Knight though. Like it was all
yeah, yeah. Um,
implied. Like they cut away from anything that was actually
that's true.
super violent.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's gonna be a difficult conversation, and where they're gonna put Ghost Rider in the plans of Phase 4.
Yeah, they got a lot going on.
Yeah, so I don't know like where you're gonna put. I mean, if the Midnight Suns like team
Hmm.
that they're bringing up. like people are talking about is like, is that going to be serious? Then I can see them maybe pulling Robbie back into this role of, in the
Hmm.
MCU, but we'll see. Um, I will say I mean without the show, Agents of Shield and Coulson still being alive, I think this was a good death in the MCU, but it does
Hmm.
create a trend we see. Well, I mean Loki kind of started this trend after the first Thor film, so what I'm saying. um, so yeah. But okay. Who else we haven't discussed yet in the Avengers team? We cover everyone, I guess. Um, right? Uh, um,
Uh,
I
talk, we talked a little bit about Tony. We
yeah,
talked about Hawkeye and Natasha and Steve and Banner and Thor. Yeah, that's everyone.
Thor. Yeah. I want to give a shout out to the other characters that was cool to get here. Like Salvik was great to bring him back here.
Yeah,
That was good.
yeah, that was a nice bit of like connective tissue with the other movies.
Yeah, I did
Uh,
appreciate that when I saw him. That was good. But it connected. Well, it disconnect or connect to the post credit scene from the first Thor film. So um,
yeah,
yeah. So that was
um,
good.
yeah. I liked that there's like a brief recognition of like if he heard the name Loki and he's like, "Oh, you're the Thor's brother." Like,
Yes, I
yeah.
love that. Um, I loved this until Captain Marvel ruined it. I like the idea that Thor and Loki's assistant caused Shield to do like bring back the Hydra weapons to
Hmm.
their disposal to fight another like a potential big threat, like
Yeah.
what happened with the Mexo City attack, Mexo
Hmm.
Town. Like I appreciate that until Captain Marvel say that Nick Fury already knew aliens and knew like new superpowered people, and it's like doesn't make sense with this film.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a lot
like
about Captain Marvel that.
yeah. Oh my god,
Uh,
I'm like excited and scared to talk about that film because that film's just so.
I haven't watched it since I saw it in theaters.
Oh really?
Um,
Okay.
I just have not had any desire to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, one more year until. Oh wow, actually, because they was it recently they switched the release dates for the sequels. Now
oh,
Ant
they
Man's
did.
coming. Yeah. Oh no. Oh hold on. Let me go check this because I think Captain Marvel is gonna release later next year in July, where Ant-Man 3 is gonna come out earlier in February. My
Okay.
bad. Because I was thinking, wait a minute, I remember they changed the release dates. But so many movies coming out. Hold on, let me put this out. Yes. So Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is gonna be released in February 17th,
Okay.
2023,
Hmm.
and then the Marvels is coming in July 28th, 2023. So they flip flop those release dates to those now permanent release
Okay.
dates for now.
Hmm.
So okay, so we have a half year until July. We had to discuss the first film. Oh, oh dear. I mean, there's things I like about Captain Marvel, but I just wish it was a focused movie that had a clear vision. Um, which is just it's just a shame because that was their first female superhero Marvel led film.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah. But yeah. Let's. What else we need to discuss about the Avengers? I mean, I think this was. I think nail of the coffin. Like, okay, superhero films are legitimate. Like, I think it's set up like, okay, when the superhero films are good, we go to that. When they're not good, we're not gonna go. Like, I think this film helped to really like cement that the superhero Sandra was a thing
Hmm.
because I know a lot of people mention up Dark Knight and Iron Man. yes, in terms of quality, it's like okay, this is what we're gonna expect in terms of the superhero films. But the thing, I feel like for me, it was always the Avengers made it cement that the superhero genre film is a legitimate successful thing if you do it right, in
Mm-hmm.
my mind. And I think that's one of the most thankful thing I will say about the Avengers is that because like eh, when Super in the movie happened, it was that was really it, because it was a limitation of the effects, and so we didn't get a lot of like the characters coming to movies, and we had shows as well, but like it was still limited as well. And then the '90s, we got to that, and of course, Batman was high at that time. We had pulp heroes, but like it was kind of iffy until Marvel started to, you know, get into the game, and we got X-Men and Spider-Man as we discussed in this channel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was still kind of like inconsistent, and it wasn't like firmly said that okay, maybe this is a legitimate thing that they were successful, but Spider-Man helped that. I would say Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film helped boost the confidence, but I think the Avengers helped cement that okay, that like now every studio is just grabbing every IP or like that's related to comic book because of what the Avengers showed them,
Mm-hmm.
which is something is crazy, good or bad, I would say. I would say, I mean, it pushed DC to do more DC films. I mean, like we finally got Wonder Woman movie, we got Aquaman movie, we got Shazam movie,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very happy. Getting more DC films. I'm a DC guy. So but what do you think about the pop culture phenomenon of the Avengers and like its influence in the cinema in general? Will what do you think?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely the movie that like catapulted Marvel to being like the mainstream thing. Uh,
Mm, that's a good point.
it caused like the resurgence of superhero movies as like a genre,
Yeah.
like a dominant genre. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it started that trend of like everyone trying to make their own
Oh.
crossover universe, for
Yeah.
better or for worse.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So yeah, I
Uh.
mean, insanely influential.
Yeah. I. Oh my God. It's crazy that it's been 10 years as we mentioned it. I mean, we're halfway done with May, which is crazy, but oh my god, it's crazy for me. 10 years seeing this film, just seeing the big screens, like oh my god, it was like I can't believe it happened.
Hmm.
Like it's just crazy, and I think we also have to thank Kevin Feige and the team of the other producers of Marvel Studios. Like they really pulled this off,
Hmm.
and like really showed the they really showed the concept of the shared universe of comic books because it was a new thing and they successfully show how you know valuable and successful it is as a film franchise,
Hmm.
for better or worse, as we say. So but yeah, it's crazy. But I guess is there anything else to discuss about the Avengers? I think that's really all for now.
Yeah, I think that's it for now.
Yeah, yeah. So but thank you, Will, for joining me for today to discuss the Avengers, the tenth anniversary discussion.
Yeah, thank
Uh,
you.
Oh my god. This was a fun discussion. I love the Avengers. I'm so happy we discussed this year, which is great.
Hmm.
Oh man. And next week, what should we do next week? What movie or what do you want to do? We want to do another ranking or movie discussion?
Uh,
Um,
yeah, I'm not sure.
because if we do Iron Man, we are officially done with Phase 1. if we get to Iron
Hmm.
Man. Um, or you want to do something fun? Like we still need to do like worst Marvel movies or worst MCU films. Where you want to go? Like, there's a ranking.
Uh, you want to do worst MCU movies?
Okay, that would be fun because we
Okay.
can probably do an update in terms of the list.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna.
what do you think?
Yeah,
You gonna put?
I'm gonna feel bad putting Captain Marvel on there since I've only seen it once, but I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna give you a hindsight. It's gonna be in my
mm,
list too. So, but
yeah,
not as high. Um. Oh,
yeah.
and just like a heads up, we can also include the TV shows. I want to
Ooh,
bring that.
okay. So,
Let's have a
all
little
right.
fun with. Yeah, let's do that.
I know what my
Cause
number one is then. Uh,
oh really?
yeah.
Oh god.
I
Oh
think you
god.
should know based on
Yeah,
other
I know what
conversations
you're
we've
talking
had.
about. I
Yeah,
just like I'm just I know what you're talking about, Will. I'm like
yeah.
I'm surprised you
There's
got
only
to.
one Marvel thing that I've actively disliked. Uh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh god. That's gonna be a fun podcast next week.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my god. So yeah, so everyone have a good weekend. Me will be back for next week for another Marvel Plus talk on the top worst MCU property. Let me say that. So check out for that for next Sunday to next week. So have a good weekend and of course next week have a good Memorial Day weekend as well. Bye bye.